Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to get started in just a couple minutes, about 3 minutes till we start. So if you are here, make sure you're getting your notes ready. We're about to start Unit 5. If you still have not taken the Unit 4 exam, you need to message me on Teams and you need to head out of this call because you're going to need to do that now. You're going to have to miss this and watch the video later. So if you haven't taken the Unit 5 exam, you need to let me know on Teams. About 2 minutes till we start. About 2 minutes till we begin. So again, get your notes ready. Get ready to go. Thank you for being early. Thank you for being on time. About 1 minute before we get ready to begin. All right, guys, it is 2:25. So for the sake of everybody's time, we're going to go ahead and get started, which means that I'm going to start the clock right now. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to get done the key terms and be ready to go. Make sure that you are in here. Make sure that you are ready to go with that notes page. We are starting Unit 5 today. Unit 5 is going to be about from the year 1844 to 1877. So it's going to cover the Civil War, get into a little bit of Reconstruction, and we are going to start with Manifest Destiny. That is our first topic today. So a little less than 2 minutes, about a minute and a half left. Make sure your note page is ready. It's going to be really important. Your semester exam is going to look a whole lot closer to the AP than any of the past ones have been. It's going to be a full multiple choice section, not just a little piece. You're going to have a full FRQ section as well. And as I grade your LEQs, I'm not going to lie, is not looking great. Not quite done with them yet, but I'm gone through a big chunk of them, and we'll talk about LEQs and all that in a bit. Some of you are doing well. Some of you are really, really close. Some of us are not close at all. So we're going to talk about LEQs later on in the week, mainly after class. I'll have a few different days. Actually, it won't be a few days. It'll probably just be one day, maybe two. Probably going to be one. So I'm planning for one where we can go over individually how you did. I'm going to do basically like an office hours. We'll talk about how to do those or what those are going to look like at the end of the class. So about 30 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So if you're not ready, make sure you're ready. Make sure you get these key terms down. These are going to be important terms that you need to know. And we will talk about more details about this later on. This is the basics, the intro to Manifest Destiny, if you will. So hopefully you guys are ready to go. And we are going to get started. So, well, thank you for being here. Today, we're going to explain the causes and the effects of Manifest Destiny. We're going to focus more on what Manifest Destiny is and some of the aspects of it, some of the groups that were involved, some of the causes of it. And then as we go on this week and into later, we're going to talk about the effects and we're going to talk more about causes. So that's what we're doing today. What I want you to do now is take 45 seconds. And I want you to put this in the chat. So if I don't get your response within this 45 seconds, actually, I'm going to give you a minute. So if I don't get your response within this minute, it is going to count against you. So make sure that you send it. You can send it privately. If you don't want it out there, you can send it privately or you can send it publicly the way we have been doing. But I'm going to give you a minute. Why do Americans from the 19th century want to move west? Go. Nuke the chat box. Type it in. Take that minute. Why do they want to move west? Why do you think they want to move west? What's it for? And even if you see the response that you were going to put in here, put it in there again. And again, you can send it privately. So far, I got 2 responses. Both are good. I like that third response. Yep. Desiree, that's good. Isaiah, good. What else? What else do we got? 30 seconds have passed. Michaela, solid response. It's always a thing, right? It's America's favorite thing. Gio, a little iffy on that. That one's going to be hard to prove. I'd avoid that. Think more basic stuff that's been happening since the beginning of time. Roman, that's a good one. Jay, yes, we're starting Unit 5. Alex, good stuff. Annalise, yes. Zach. That's a good one. Yeah, the opportunities there are like that. Okay, so those of you that responded, thank you. If you haven't responded, try to get your response in, but we're going to move forward. Gio, that's solid. Yes, perfect. Okay, so a lot of the things I saw, opportunity, resources, land. Land is a big one. If you get an FRQ, whether it's an SAQ, LEQ, DBQ, and they ask you why people want to move west, or that's an aspect of it, and you don't include, hey, land, opportunity, you better have a really good reason why you didn't include that stuff. Because that's yes, it's obvious, but that's a huge reason why. There will be entire arguments formed and used and created that express that want for land, that need for land, that opportunity, that resources, right? Those resources that are out there. There's going to be whole arguments, whole reasons, whole wars will be fought to get those resources. So let's get into this intro to Manifest Destiny. I clicked too many things. So Manifest Destiny, again, causes and effects. Mainly we're talking about what it is and what caused it today. So let's get on that first key point, right? Key point 1, the desire for access to natural and mineral resources. Sorry, I saw a funny thing in the chat. So the access to natural and mineral resources and a hope of many settlers for economic opportunities or religious refuge led to an increased migration to and settlement in the West. So first, get the key point down. That is the academic version. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes. It shouldn't take you that full time to get this in your notes. But I want you to do is privately, in your own words, put this key point to me. So what is this saying? We basically already did this, so it shouldn't be much more. Actually, you know what? Scrap that. Sorry. Just take the next 1.5 minutes, put this in your notes, and then we're going to talk about what this means in real words. So I don't want you to type it to me. I just want you to write it in, and then we'll talk about what this means in real human words, right? Desire for access to natural mineral resources. What's the difference between those two? That's what I want you to focus on. Hope of economic opportunities or religious refuge. Brownie points, if you can name brownie points. I haven't even explained what those are, right? COVID's weird. Internet school. Who can tell me which groups want religious refuge? Because there's only a couple, but there's one main one. There's one that everybody's got to know. Group out there, new group. They want refuge religiously. Can anybody name them? We've talked about them once already. You can shout it out. You can type it out. Who wants religious refuge specifically? No, this isn't the 1800s. Pilgrims are long gone. There's no pilgrims anymore. This is in 1840, 1830, not Protestants. I bet it's a habit. It's a habit early on, but later on when we talk about manifest destiny and when we're talking about westward expansion specifically, there's a very specific group that's going to be born out of this era. It's not the Protestants, but that's... Those people that thought the world was going to end aren't quite who we're looking for. They're a little piece of this. But there's a big group. They're going to basically get their own state. Mormons. Yes, Zach, it's Mormons. Thank you. Mormons. Mormons are going to get their own state. Do you remember the state that they moved to? Anybody? Now that I say Mormons, do you remember the state? Utah, right? Utah, state of Utah. So that's 2 minutes. Unless we need more time, I'm going to move on. And we're going to talk about manifest destiny in more detail. Basically, guys, what is manifest destiny? It's a concept. Manifest destiny isn't a real thing. It's an idea. And it's an idea that a lot of Americans in this time really, really liked. So, manifest destiny is the belief. I'm going to get really close to the camera. It's the belief that God himself destined America to spread, and I quote, from sea to shining sea. Basically from the Atlantic Ocean, which is where we start, right? That's where the Pilgrims showed up in 1607, 1620, from sea, the Atlantic Ocean, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. God himself destined America to do that. That's what manifest destiny is. It's that belief. It's not a plan. It is not a formal policy. It's not a policy, but it's a belief. It's an idea. It's a concept. And add to that concept that in many people's minds, this is bringing progress to the West. So I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to get this slide down. And then we are going to talk about what this image means, because this image should be familiar. So I just got a really good question in the chat, and I'm going to say it out loud in just another minute or so. But I will answer that question. And if I don't answer it, make sure you tell me, hey, you didn't answer my question. But I'm going to answer it soon. I'm going to give you about another minute. And again, manifest destiny is not a policy. It is not a policy. It is a belief. Is manifest destiny a policy? Somebody shout out at me. Was manifest destiny a policy? No, it was not. It was a belief. It's an idea. Also, Jill, I had a good weekend. Had a good weekend, a busy weekend, but a good weekend. I was house hunting all weekend.
Have you found any houses you liked?
A couple. I found one that I was about to make an offer on, and then it ended up being in a FEMA flood zone. So I was like, nope, no, thank you. But I found a couple. I'm going to go look at more today after school, and I think hopefully I'll find one today. But we'll see. It's a process.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, guys. So it's been about 2 minutes. Manifested. It's been about 2 minutes. So I got a question that I have to answer MTV Cribs. Maybe if I find something and we're ever doing a Zoom call again and I'm at home for whatever reason, it'll work. Because right now I'm at school. So we're ever doing work from home again and I have a new house, I'll MTV Cribs it for sure. We'll make something of it. But so I got a question, and it was, did they, I'm assuming you mean Americans, use this belief of manifest destiny to try and justify their actions? And I'm assuming you mean Americans. And the short answer to that is Yes. Manifest destiny. And look at this image. What do you see in this image? Just nuke the chat box. Any little detail you see, what do you see? I'm going to give you a minute, and it's going to help me answer that question even more. We're going to talk about the long answer. So what do you see in this image? It will help the long answer. A goddess, an angel, a holy figure. Trains. What else do you see? Natives running. Settlers are pure. Natives. What else? Natives gone wrong. Livestock. A flying lady. Yes. A bear, ox, animals. Sure. What else do we see? Keep going. Details, 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 details. Little tiny things. What are you seeing? Look at the background. Technology, bad natives. What else? Clouds, okay. What else? Mountains. I'm trying not to give it away, so I'm not going to say it, but what else? There you go. Dark to light. The light is coming into the dark, right? Telegraph wires. Clouds behind her getting great, right? It's like she's the holy light, bringing light towards the west. This is what this image, if I'm not mistaken, and I usually like to put the names of the paintings. So I usually like to put the names of the paintings in here, and I forgot the Bible. Yeah, there is a Bible actually. But this is supposed to be Lady Manifest Destiny. This is progress going to the west. So in a nutshell, so the short answer, yes. Americans use this idea to justify their responses, but the long answer to that is for the Americans, and I'm getting a little bit into later key points here by doing this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Manifest Destiny is their opportunity to spread what they would consider as progress and to spread what they would consider as Christianity out to the West. They are bringing progress. They are bringing benefits and good things out West. That is their goal. And Manifest Destiny is like their justification, their shield, their thing that makes it okay. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? Manifest Destiny is very much their justification. Yeah, it makes sense? Okay. So I'm going to move on from here. And I'm going to show you a couple of trails that people took. So Manifest Destiny, even though we're talking about this post 1830s, right? We're talking about this post market revolution, is going to be going on well into, it's been happening for a while, is the shortest way to put this. And there are several trails, and I want you to write the names of these down. And we're not in school, so I can't quite give you a map. But later on, what I want to do, and when I say later on, I mean tomorrow, is I'm going to give you blank ones and slightly altered ones that I do want you to try to either print or to digitally keep. Just mail us a map. Well, what I might even do is one of these days have like a pickup where you come and pick up like a review packet for the semester exam. That's going to have things like maps and stuff in it. I might do that. I'm not doing it yet, but I might do it. And if I do, I will let you guys know so you can come by and I'll be outside or I'll be somewhere and you can just come by and drive by and pick them up curbside. So one of these days, I'll probably end up doing that. If you already come to school, I'll have this printed for you like in a day or two. I'll have it when the packet's ready, you can just pick it up. Can you throw it on my lawn? No. I probably cannot throw it on your lawn, but I'm going to, if you really can't get one and you really, really want one, I will figure out a way to get it to you. But the easiest way is probably going to just be pick it up curbside. Like if it was one of the books, send a pigeon, maybe, right? Maybe I'll get pigeons or something, messenger pigeons, airdrop it. But I will figure out ways to get it to you guys moving forward. There will be a digital version. So if you have a printer at home and you want to just print it, you don't even have to come to school. I'll put a digital version on Google Classroom. But if you want a paper copy and you don't have a printer and you don't want to pay to print it, because I get it, ink's expensive, come by and I'll have copies for you guys eventually with all of these maps. But look at these trails and I want you to write down the names. Oregon, California, Old Spanish, Santa Fe, Utah, and Mormon. Now, the one problem with this map, and it is the bane of my existence, is that the Mormon Utah, and Oregon are all the same color. I'm sorry, not Utah. The Mormon and the Oregon are the same color. But I'm going to kind of trace the Oregon. And when I said Oregon, I mean Mormon, because I'm tracing the Mormon. And the Mormon ends right here in what will be Salt Lake City, Utah. The Oregon starts in Missouri, the Oregon Trail now. And it goes all the way into Oregon territory. So I want you to write the names of these down, because you will need them. The Mormon Trail ends in Utah. The Santa Fe Trail ends in New Mexico. The California and Old Spanish Trails end in California. And the Oregon Trail ends in the Oregon Territory. I know that seems really obvious, but trust me, write it. It's going to be really, really important. They will give you maps that have these trails written out, and you've got to be able to name some of them. So write the names down and where they end up. And if you need me to clarify where some of them end, tell me. And put Old Spanish Trail, hey, guess what? It's the Southern Trail, right? The California Trail's up north by Oregon. The Old Spanish Trail's southern. The Mormon Trail goes straight through the middle, pretty much. And then the Oregon Trail goes all the way through. And the Santa Fe is like a little half trail. So write the names, write where they end up. If you need me to clarify, let me know. I'm going to give you about 2.5 minutes. Yes, the Mormon Trail ends in Utah. So the Mormon Trail ends in Utah. Salt Lake City, Utah, to be specific. About 2 minutes left. The Oregon Trail ends in the Oregon Territory. Sure, I will. So the Oregon Trail ends in the Oregon Territory. The California Trail ends in Northern California. The Mormon Trail ends in Utah. The Santa Fe Trail ends in New Mexico. And the Old Spanish Trail ends in Southern California. And they all have very similar starting points, if you can't notice, right? They all start pretty much in Missouri, the exception of California, which is like an offshoot of the Oregon. So again, the Oregon Trail ends in the Oregon Territory, after the name. The California Trail ends in Northern California, add Northern. The Old Spanish Trail ends in Southern California. The Mormon Trail ends in Utah, and the Santa Fe Trail ends in New Mexico. About 40 seconds left, and then we're going to move on. And again, if you like, can you guys tell me yes, no, just either privately or in the chat, would you like digital copies of just the maps already before the packet's ready? Seen some yeses. Okay, so what I'll do today when I'm done here is when I put the slides up, which should already be up actually. The slides are up, but I'll put just digital versions on a PDF of the maps as well. And then when the packet is ready at the end of this week, I will let you know, and it'll be all 5 units for review. So that way everybody has one. But that'll be later. That's not now, but that'll be later. Okay, so time is up. So we're going to move forward. Groups moving west. These are very brief descriptions. And what I recommend you do, and when I say recommend you do, like, you should do it. If you're not doing it, you're just cheating yourself. When you write down the names and you write down the first line that's here for each one, leave space to add detail. Leave space to add more detail. Whether that be for mountain men, you might want to name some of them because there's a bunch of famous ones. Pioneers, you might want to name where they're going, but you'll fill that information in as we move along in talking about this stuff. So in a basic intro to these groups of people, you got mountain men at the top, number 1. These are fur traders. Think like rugged outdoors people. Think like Bear Grylls from that show, the survival show, but American with muskets and looking like this guy. Those are mountain men. They're like the ultimate of the ultimate. They travel usually by themselves, which means they're very friendly with natives. Yeah, Man versus Wild, that guy. Think Man versus Wild guy. But there's a whole bunch of them. But they're individuals and they travel by themselves. And any trail, like all those trails you just wrote down, any trail that a family of later will use, or a missionary or any other group will use, those guys are the ones that found it first. The mountain men are really important and crucial to this stuff. And the reason they do that is to make their own money, but it's still important. They trailblazers. So mountain men you need for traders. You don't need to write down the thing about, think about Bear Grylls, but that's something to consider if you're trying to picture a mountain man, think like a 19th century Bear Grylls. Pioneers are usually families, and they're the first big groups to move out west. And they're almost always looking for either a better life or economic opportunities. And that could vary. It could just be the land, it could be minerals, it could be something. Missionaries, why are missionaries moving out west? Somebody tell me. You can type it or you can say it. Why do missionaries move out west? Convert natives to Christianity. That's it. Convert natives to Christianity. Another new group we haven't talked about, 49ers. Not the football team, but it's who the football team is named after. And it's basically groups that were going to move to California during the gold rush. That first wave of people moving to California for the gold rush, they're called 49ers. So people who move west take advantage of the gold rush, 49ers. Mormons, persecuted for their religious beliefs, moved out west to look for religious freedom. And then, of course, Chinese immigrants who moved west for a better life and economic opportunity. P.S. They're not going to find much. If only. Wow. Only for the joke or what? All right, so 2.5 minutes on here. So again, about 2 minutes left. If you need more time, let me know. About a minute and change left, and then we're going to move on. Thirty seconds, and then we're going to move on. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on now. So, second key point is up. Advocates of annexing Western lands will argue that manifest destiny and the superiority of American institutions, and they mean things like religion and government and all that stuff, compelled the United States to expand its borders westward to the Pacific Ocean. So this is basically what we were saying earlier, right? People that are a fan of getting more land will use manifest destiny as an excuse. Are there some people who believe it? Yes, right? The guy that wrote the idea down and thought God talked to him. So, of course, there's people who believe that it's God telling them to do it. But a whole lot of other people see it as an opportunity to justify what they're doing. Like I said, there will be wars fought, there will be genocides committed, there will be atrocities committed, all in the name of expanding westward. And for a long time, this idea, this belief of manifest destiny is the shield. It's like, hey, well, we got a good reason. God said we could do it. Why are you killing all those natives? Well, God said we could do it. Why are you going to war with Mexico? Because God said we could do it. It's the excuse built in. It's kind of the ultimate excuse in a lot of ways. That belief is going to take hold in American identity for that time period. There will be a president named Polk who will win the presidency solely on the platform of completing manifest destiny. And guess what? He's going to complete it. So we're going to talk about that. And I'll give you about a minute and a half to get this down. Then we'll move on. You're not wrong. They did. It's an interesting period of time, and we're going to talk a lot more about it. And after the Civil War, by the way, all this stuff is going to increase dramatically. It's going to get way more important because Congress will pass laws and legislation that will benefit these people, like certain acts that we'll talk about later that will help make them, incentivize them to move west. Early on in the early 30s and 40s and even 50s, people that move west are kind of out on their own. And then in the 1870s, you're going to see the government supporting them, backing them, giving them land grants, money, things like that. About 20 seconds. If anybody needs more time, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to move on. I believe so, Max. I believe Polk did want to take even more than what they took. But we'll talk more about that conflict a little later and kind of why they decided to take what they took. But yeah, there's probably a good argument to be made that Polk wanted more, or at least some people within his group wanted more. Definitely. Okay, so progress. You probably don't need to write all this down. A lot of this is repeat, but look through it, right? So manifest destiny is to believe that God himself wanted Americans to expand, right? God himself said we could do it. Some people believe it. Others not so much, right? Probably just know that this is the shield. All you really need from this slide is to point out that for many Americans, the vast majority of common folks, right? Farmer Jane and John, or factory worker Steve and Stephanie, right? Whatever, the regular Americans, regular people will buy into this idea of progress. Farmer Joe, they will though. They'll buy into the progress idea, right? They're bringing civilization out. Steve from Minecraft. Is that really? Yeah, I'm not going to get down in that, but I didn't know that was his name. But they're going to buy into the progress idea. People, regular people, buy into the progress idea. And because of that, they're not only going to want to do this stuff, they're going to be happy and they're going to feel like they're doing a good thing. So I'll give you a quick 30 seconds, right? People buy into it. And again, a lot of regular people think that they are spreading America, right? There's nothing out there. They think it's a big empty landscape and they're going and they're spreading, they're bringing their civilization and culture with them and all the good things that come with that. But is that even true? Obviously not, right? Who's out there? If it's 1823, who's out there in the West right now in these lands that these people are all going to move to? Not quite the Spanish, but the Mexicans and the natives. Maybe not 1823, but if it's 1833, let's say. Mexican government, natives. The British have claim to some of the land in Oregon. And That's not going to matter. It's not going to get in the way. It's not going to stop America from reaching their destiny. I mean, come on, God told them to do it. If they don't do it, I mean, who will, right? So let's move forward. Now, before you write anything, we're getting into causes. So I'm going to give you about 90 seconds to write the info for each of these causes of manifest destiny, or each of these things that influenced it. One of the big ones is the Texas Revolution. So prior, can I go back? I can. So I'll talk about the Texas Revolution a little bit. This is all prior. So prior to the revolution in Texas, Sam Houston, David Crockett, all those people, the Mexican government had an issue. They had all this land in Texas and in all these places, and it was really hard to live there, and it was really hard to get people to want to live there, except for all the crazy Americans who wanted to get land at any cost, right? They wanted cheap, available land. Yeah, Roman, I don't even know what you're talking about. So American settlers wanting land, Mexican government is giving land. These governors that run the areas are like, yes, come here, take this land. There's only 3 things you got to do. And those things were, you had to ask and you had to get permission. You had to convert to Catholicism and you had to learn Spanish. If you did those 3 things, you were given land, and a lot of land. And were there other little things? Sure, like the Mexicans didn't allow slavery, but the settlers did it anyways. So it doesn't really come into the factor, but those are the 3 big things. If you didn't do those 3 things, people tend to be upset. But in 1836, there will be a revolution, one you all have heard of, I'm sure, in 7th grade, which was a long time ago. But in a nutshell, a couple of American settlers are going to try to bootleg the Washington policy and fight against the Mexican government. So there will be famous battles at places like the Alamo, at Goliad, at San Jacinto, and they will win independence and become a republic. Come and take it. That's the Battle of Gonzales, the come and take it flag that I got in my classroom. But there's plenty of battles. We're not going to get into the Texas Revolution, but basically now Texas is its own independent republic that's not recognized by Mexico. Mexico does not recognize Texas independence, but they're operating as their own nation, and it's inviting people to move closer. Texas desperately wants to be a state in the Union, but the United States is not touching that because Mexico hasn't acknowledged them, and because of that balance issue, right? Adding Texas as a slave state tends to throw the balance off things. So those are the 2 reasons why America's kind of avoiding them for now, but they won't forever. California Gold Rush in 1849. Actually, it's in 1848 is when it's starting, and then 49 is when it's discovered, and there's the rush. So because of that, 49ers rush over to California and try to find gold. Most will never find any. Most will never become wealthy, but a boom populated California. Can I go back? I can. I'll give you another minute, and then we will go to the California Gold Rush. We've got the California Gold Rush and then Oregon Country, and then we are done with notes. So another minute on here, and then we will go to, just need dates. Okay, so then we're good to move forward. So I'll give you a minute and a half for the California Gold Rush. Again, gold's discovered and a huge group of people migrated west. The people who went searching for gold became known as 49ers. Most never found any, most never became wealthy. California will become a state faster than most other states. And it will become a state so quickly because of how many people move there due to the gold rush. So I'm going to leave this slide up for 90 seconds. Then I'm going to go back to the other slide for 30. So somebody needs it, so I'll go back there for 30. And then we'll move forward. So minute and a half on the clock. All you really need is when the gold rush happened and what happens after. A bunch of people show up. Those people are called 49ers. And as a result, California is going to become a state super fast because it's going to populate quickly, which is usually what takes the longest. So the reason California is able to become a state so quickly is because of the gold rush filling the area with people. About 20 seconds, then we're going to go back to Texas, and then we're going to go forward to Oregon afterwards. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that place either, of those burgers, personally. But that's why they populated so quickly. So 30 seconds. I mean, not in and out, but you get what I'm saying. 30 seconds. I realize I sound like a lunatic to the Zoom call, and I'm talking to chat, and you guys can't see it, but, you know, that's what it is. Yes, you're right. The fries do taste like cardboard. A little bit more time on Texas, then we're going to move straight into Oregon.
There, I thought Santa Ana said Santa Claus.
All right, moving forward. So, Oregon country. Last slide for the day. It's a boundary dispute. So you got 3 different spots. The extreme British want the border right here on the 42nd parallel. The extreme Americans want 5440 way up here into Canada. 5440 or fight becomes a very popular slogan that the likes of James Polk will argue. A compromise will be made at the 49th parallel, and then Vancouver Island, the whole island, will be given to Britain. And that's just a deal that is made. Come together, meet, make a deal. There's no fight. There's no lasting argument. And that's the border that we use today. So I'll give you 2 minutes for this slide, and then we will move on. But this is the last slide for notes. About a minute and a half. "45 seconds. If you need more time, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to move on in 30 seconds. More time? Okay, we'll bump it to about a minute. Okay, so we're going to move forward. Take a look at that map. Most of it you don't need. You need to know this is the former United States, or not the former, but the United States in 1800. Northwest Territories right here in the middle, and then these are the original 13. Florida Cession, 1819. Louisiana Purchase, 1803. The Texas Annexation in 1845. The Mexican Cession of 1848. The Oregon Compromise of 1846. And the Gadsden Purchase of 1843. I will put a blank map of this that's going to be kind of like this one, but with less of the outside stuff that you don't need. Soon on Google Classroom, I'll put it there today, as well as the trails map. And then just so you know, for a good chunk of time now, for a while, for the next week at least, on your exit tickets, you're going to get a blank map with numbers 1 through 8. And you got to try to identify the numbers. Now, here's what I will tell you. Do not open up the slides and just answer it, because that's not going to help anybody. It's just a waste of time. Now, if you do that, well, I know probably not, but just don't waste your time and mind by doing that, because that doesn't prove anything. Try to remember where these are. And if you can't, it's okay to leave them blank, because this is just a piece of the exit ticket for the rest of the week. The blank map. It's not the whole thing. You will have chances to make up blank responses in the questions. There's still a question, and then there's the map. So question and map, it's 2 parts, but if you don't know it, don't just fill it in. Don't just look it up on the notes. Try to answer it without using your notes, is what I'm saying. So with that being said, special office hours. Tomorrow, after class, which probably will end a little early, kind of like today's, maybe a little earlier, I will open up a Zoom call. That'll be separate. I'll make a separate post for it. And it'll probably happen a couple minutes after class, and it will go on till maybe 4:30. That's how much time I have slotted for it, but if it goes longer, it goes longer. In that Zoom, it'll be kind of set up the way class is, where there's the waiting room and all that stuff. And anybody who wants to come in one-on-one, and I'll break down your exam with you, your unit exam, the LEQ. I'll tell you what you did wrong. I'll tell you what you did right. I will tell you what you need to work on to improve your writing for the AP US History exam. If you want to do that, you just got to come by. You'll be in the waiting room, and then I'll let you in the Zoom when the Zoom is empty and open. First come, first serve. It'll take a few minutes of your time, and it will really help you, because since we're in internet school, I can't give you back graded papers with feedback the way we could. I can't give you your exam back all marked up with what you did wrong. So this is my way to try to help you with that. I'll show you your exam, what you did. We'll go through it section by section. For some of us, that'll take longer than others. And I'll help you, because some of us were really close. Some of us were a mile away, and some of us just, are in between. So it's something to consider. I would highly recommend it. I will maybe have another day later on in the week, depending on if anybody shows up tomorrow and all that. So open invitation. Office hours, I'll make the post about it tomorrow with the times. So exit ticket is in Google Classroom. So it should be posting now. So go ahead and open up Google Classroom. There it is. Here is the document. So this is the map section. Label them as best you can. If you don't know it, it's not the end of the world, and then answer the questions on the bottom, full sentences. You've got about 15 minutes left in this call, in this class. I will be here for a good chunk of them if you need any help. But otherwise, guys, you are good to go and do your exit ticket.